Let's give it up for Eric.
Let's go. Appreciate you, Gabriella.
You're welcome.
So I got a question for you guys. What is the best tool or vehicle to generate leads? How many people think it's proactive and aggressive outbound prospecting? Picking up the phone, knocking on doors. How many people? Show of hands. Okay, 2 of you. Everybody else is independently wealthy? Is that what we're doing? How many people think that it is marketing or media as the best tool? Oh, interesting. More hands go up. I think part of the reason is because the other one is uncomfortable and nobody likes to do it, but that's cool. So Ty Lopez, he calls direct sales and marketing business. In order to have a kingdom, do you need a king and a queen? Yes. So he calls it the king and queen of business. Why does he do that? Well, I heard a quote that really caused me to stop in my tracks. It said, if you're a shitty marketer, you have to become a rock star salesperson. Think about that for a second. If you're a shitty marketer, you have to become a rock star salesperson. Now that caused me to really stand still and really ponder and think, because I had spent 15 years of my life becoming a rock star salesperson. I role played twice a day, 6 days a week for 3 years. I prospected every single day for 15 years, 6 days a week for 3 hours. Now, it worked. I listed over 100 homes a year for 10 years in a row. We did 200 deals a year twice, 80% of that business being listings sold. And it comes with a few drawbacks. What are some drawbacks that particular strategy or approach comes with? This is the interactive portion of the presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Time, so I have to be there to do it. What else?
When you stop doing it, then results stop.
How many people when you go on a vacation, all your business fucking stops? Anybody besides me? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so there's some drawbacks to it, but it does work because I was the #1 listing agent in the whole MLS system out of 20,000 agents in Miami. It works, okay? And I realized something, that you can make $1 million plus a year doing outbound aggressive prospecting. You can make $10 million a year if you add media to it. Okay? But here's the problem. I didn't know shit about media. And the vast majority of you don't either. I know because I see what you post. Pictures of you eating somewhere, like anybody gives a shit. Pictures of you on a vacation. Look how cool I am. You know what the vast majority of you guys use media for? To gratify your ego. To get validation, to make yourself look cool. Which is dumb. Because you can't sell anything doing that, just so you know. So what I normally do, she's like, you talking to me? I did what I normally do when I don't know a skill, is that I got access to a guide. Anybody know who Ryan Pineda is? Okay, millions and millions of followers online. He has 6 businesses that do $1 million a month in revenue.
Ryan
Pineda. $1 million a month in revenue. Do you think he understands media pretty well? Yeah. His primary acquisition channel is media. So here we are, I do 2 referrals because somebody found me on media and they're like, I'm a fucking media expert, and we put him on a panel versus a guy who does 6 businesses that do $1 million a month. Okay? I paid him $25,000 to teach me media. Okay? My content creators were on calls with his content creators. And we sucked everything out of their brains. And as a result, as Gabriella alluded to, we went from 2,000 on Instagram to 57,000 organically. We regularly receive 4,000 to 5,000 hours of watch time on YouTube now. Okay? Have multiple posts that have gone viral with over 1 million views. Right? And it's allowed us to grow all of our businesses now in a way that was not possible previously with time freedom and location freedom. And I believe that everybody in this room with the right understanding, the right strategy, because most of us don't have a strategy as it pertains to media, you just mail it in. How many people feel like you should be posting something? Yeah. How many of you guys have any strategy behind it? I've seen your stuff. Come on, bro. This guy? Yeah. You, because we work on it together and we had to change it. Because, you know, we've worked together for an extended period of time. So I believe that everybody in this room with the right strategy, the right approach, the right techniques, you could do everything and I've done in less time. Okay, I've spent the last 17 years of my career selling over 2,000 properties, starting a coaching company with over 100 coaching clients. 12 of them make over $1 million a year. Owning part of a Keller Williams office, selling it back, transitioning to EXP, and attracting 348 agents in 25 months. You can clap that shit up. So what we're going to be going over today is the strategy that I use that allows us to produce all of these outcomes. Because the marriage is actually between the two. Eventually, you're going to have to speak to somebody, so I need to know what to say and how to say it. If I can combine outbound with inbound on a regular basis, everything that you do will explode. Who's up for this? Say aye. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong fucking room. Like, who is up for this? Say aye. Guys, this is $25,000 worth of game that you're getting for free. Okay? Pay attention. Every story that you've ever listened to, every movie you've ever watched, follows a particular best practice. Stories have the capacity to hold human attention for hours at a time. It's the only tool that we have that can do that, right? And we've been telling stories for 2,000 years plus. So we've come up with some best practices. And there's always a hero in the story. As soon as you start reading the book, you start watching the movie, you're introduced to the hero. And the hero has a problem. What are examples of problems that heroes have?
Money.
Money. They want to get the bag. What else?
Love.
Love. I want to get the ladies. What else? Or the guys, whatever you're into. What's the next one?
Evil.
Evil. Okay, they're trying to combat something that's bad. Thank you. Okay. What else? What problems does the hero have? Time, trying to reclaim their time. How many people have watched the movie of the guy who works too hard and his kids are kind of going around like doing their own thing and he doesn't spend any time with them and he feels like challenged about it? It's a problem. The hero, can the hero solve their own problems? I'm sorry? No, if they could, there wouldn't be a movie, brother. And there wouldn't be a story. So who do they need to help them to solve their problems? I'm sorry?
Other people.
Okay, that other people has a specific name.
A guide.
A guide. Okay, Harry Potter's the hero, correct?
Yep.
Who's the guide? Dumbledore. Does Harry know what the fuck he's doing at the beginning?
Nope.
Does he make mistakes all the time? Does he know he's the most powerful wizard on the planet? No. He needs a guide. Okay? And the guide ends up giving them a plan. So Luke Skywalker is the hero. Who's the guide? Obi-Wan. You know that. Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games is the hero. Who's the guide? Hamish. Guys, this follows in everything. And story is a sense-making mechanism. It's how we make sense of things. In our media, who do we make the fucking hero? Us. Do you understand how you're doing it wrong? Okay, you ready? Look at my brand new listing. Who's the fucking hero?
The list.
You. You're the hero. Oh, I just had a closing. Who's the hero? Here's me eating. Who's the hero? Most people use their media as a mechanism for their own self-esteem to get strokes and accolades from people who don't give a shit and aren't buying anything from you. Okay, let's do an experiment. You ready? I want everybody to clap really loud. You ready? Okay, stop. Why do we do everything for that?
It's good.
Interesting. It feels good. What else? Accomplishment, she says, so that's interesting. Makes me feel like I've done something. Guys, do you realize how much of your life you do for that? What are you actually interested in when you post something? What do you look at? Did people like it? You know what that is? Am I positioning myself as a guide? Percy Jackson, awesome book. That dude, I don't know how to say it, Sharon, that's his guide, okay? So, we all speak the language of story. Whoever communicates their message to the consumer more clearly wins, period. With all your posts of you working out and what you're fucking eating and your vacations, what are you communicating to clients in business. I'm the main event. Thank you very much. It's all about me. I don't know if you know about me. I'm kind of a cool fucking person. Whoever communicates their message more clearly wins. And if someone has the best product, they will lose to an inferior product that can communicate more clearly. So think about for a second all of your media up until this point. What message is it sending out? Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Okay? I'm not communicating very clearly to consumers. Right? The more simple and predictive the communication is, the easier it is for the brain to digest. So here's what happens. You ready? People touch their phones 150 times a day according to Google. They're looking at emails, text messages, their calendar, right? And within maybe an hour of that, they're looking at their profiles. What causes you to stop and look at something longer than a fucking catches your attention in some way, right? And what I'm aware of as well is, as it pertains to what we're talking about here, is if we make a message difficult for our brain to understand, do you know what happens immediately? We check out. Your brain hears, oh, this won't help me to survive or thrive, so I'm not going to pay attention. How many of you guys have been like out somewhere and you're like, what do you do for a living? And they're like, well, it's kind of complicated. You know what your fucking brain does immediately? Nope, I'm out. It's going to take too long, too many calories. I'm not interested. Does that make sense? Story helps you make sense of everything. It's a sense-making mechanism. Even though you know the guy gets the girl at the end of the movie, you still watch just to find out. Even though the villain is terrible, you know that they're probably going to lose, you still watch it because it follows story branding format. And the stronger the villain, the more you actually like it. Interesting. Story formulas put everything in order in your brain so your brain doesn't have to work hard to understand. Our brain is constantly being bombarded with so much information, and now more so than any time on human history. And if I'm making messages that are not clear, nobody pays attention. And if you have a very small amount of attention in your life right now, that's the reason why. You're making yourself the hero and your message is complicated. Okay? 2 mistakes that brands make. The first mistake is they fail to focus on the aspect of their offering that will help their people survive or thrive. Our brains are wired for survival and thriving. So give me an example in real estate of surviving. Not as an agent, but as let's say a consumer, a buyer or a seller. What would be examples of surviving?
Needing a place to live.
Okay, I just need a home to live. That's surviving. What else? Let's do surviving.
Pay less.
Pay less because it'll allow me to have more money so I can survive. What else? Protect my family, give security for them. That's survival. What else?
Close to my work.
Close to my work. It helps me. That's really helps me to thrive in a way, but it's in that same vein. Perhaps I don't want to lose my property to foreclosure. That's surviving. Is this making sense? What would be examples of thriving?
Investment.
Okay, investment. Love that. What else?
Upgrades.
Upgrades, baby. What else?
Freedom.
Freedom. Good. That I can get through investments. Think about this. How much of your media is that a message? So instead of, look at my brand new listing, which is all about you. And me and Esteban have had this conversation multiple times because we work together one-on-one and he's starting to change what he's doing. I had to smash him over the head with it. I had to literally grab his phone. I'm like, here's a picture of you and your wife. Nobody gives a shit. Stop doing that. Yeah, who cares? Hey, they're not on OnlyFans, okay? That's not what they're doing. All you guys posting workout pictures. None of you guys are personal trainers. Stop. Okay? So we worked on something which is, I'm like, instead, make the client the hero. Here is a seller who wanted to get closer to their work. Now it's couched in surviving and thriving, do you see? They didn't know how they were going to do it because they were listed with another agent and it didn't sell. We connected. Who did they meet? A guide. We connected. Here's the 3-step plan that we used. We did this, this, and this. They sold. They now have a faster commute. If you, or a smaller commute, if you want to have a confidential conversation about your property, DM me the word sell. Much better. Then look at my new listing. It's fucking comical how insecure we are, guys. It's kind of ridiculous, truthfully.
What kind of post will you do if you have a new listing?
Yeah, again, explain either the problem that the seller has or tell people how they can buy it. So here's a new construction listing that we have here in Miami, and many people don't believe that you can actually get a 4% interest rate. Well, what I'm aware of is with these concessions, 1, 2, and 3, and with this builder, we just helped this client buy a home just like this, and they do have a 4% interest rate. So if you're interested in having a confidential conversation about buying a home, DM me the word buy. Much better. Now you're actually using media as a mechanism to position you as what? A guide, not a hero. Because you know what other people see when you position yourself as a hero? Here's what goes on in their head. They're like, oh, Nikki's a hero just like me. I would love to actually listen to what the fuck she has to say, but I'm too busy trying to find a guide to help me to solve my problems. All of us are looking for guides to help us solve our problems. What would be problems that we're looking for guides to help us to solve? Health. What else?
Getting more business.
Money. What else? Efficiency with my time, because I'm getting ready to go through this life change. What else? Relationships. We're all looking for guides, and we're in a sea of people that are positioning themselves as heroes. And the people who position themselves as guides make all the fucking money. Are you guys getting clear on this? The reason I use strong, powerful language, I need to shake it out of your brain what you think is cool and what you think you should be doing, okay? Your brain, listen to me, your brain's primary mechanism is to help you to survive and thrive. It is the way that it's wired. So if my content and media is not as a mechanism to help people to survive and thrive, it doesn't work. People ask me, bro, how have you attracted so many agents in such a short period of time? I position myself as a guide to help agents solve their. Do I ever talk about myself? Am I ever like, ooh, look at me and how cool my life is? No. All of the media is equipping people, what's up, brother, is equipping people with what they need to solve their own problems. I mean, to be able to solve their problems. I'm a guide to help them solve, so they reach out to me on a regular basis. 4, 5, 6, 10 times a month. Okay? No pictures of me in the car like this. I'm so fucking cool. Guys, stop it. Okay, second mistake that brands make. They cause their customers to expand too many calories to figure out or understand what they're saying. Right? Not only, like, think about this, guys. You posting a one-dimensional picture of a property you listed, does that add any value anywhere? Why? Because where can they get that? No shit. Or on Zillow, or on Redfin, or all these places. See, I had somebody in my life that told me that marketing was a waste of time. And I listened. And that became problematic. Now I make more money in less time. Interesting. There is a survival mechanism within the customer's brain to tune us out whenever we're confusing them. So isn't it confusing when I see my realtor posting pictures of them working out? I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? What does that have anything to do with like actually helping me solve my problems? Does anybody want to tell me what that actually has to do with helping them solve their problems? Nothing. Showing pictures of you on vacation, does that help them solve their problems? No. Showing pictures of your children that they give 2 shits about, does that help you solve your problems? No. We're doing it wrong.
But do you think it's wrong to combine things, like show you how you...
See, here's the thing that I get all the time. So when I start to speak this way and I speak forcefully, you know what people tell me? They're like, but I'm a person too.
No, actually, because...
And what I mean is here's what I mean about it. So the vast majority of people, they do that primarily because they have no instruction or strategy behind it. They know they should be posting something, but if they're not careful, it just becomes all about them. Here's me on a vacation. Here's me in the car. Here's a listing that I took. Here's fucking shit that I'm doing, which is really to gratify my ego. I'm not actually doing it as a mechanism. I had a conversation with somebody recently and I was like, hey, what's your intention behind posting that? And we don't want to be honest, because you know what the honest answer is? I want somebody to go like this. That's why I'm doing it. Does that make sense? So sure, do people want to see like some of that? Like one in a week. I post 3 times a day, 3 to 4 times a day, 7 days a week on all platforms. 5 times a week on YouTube. You might see one of that out of all of that, out of 28 posts. You see what I mean? So there's a part of you that wants to maybe perhaps like if you're gonna, so here's what's happening. So let's say you're perusing You have these problems that you're looking for a guide to help you to solve. And there's an infinite sea of guides and people positioning themselves as guides. The challenge is most people are entirely full of shit.
That's true.
So you're trying to determine who could be a good guide for me, right? Think about to yourself, what causes you to invite somebody into your story, because you're the hero in your own story. I'm just the guide. You're Harry Potter, I'm Dumbledore. What would cause you to reach out to me? Is it pictures of my kids? No, what? If you were an agent, what would cause you to reach out to me?
You have something I need.
Ah, interesting. And how would you be able to determine that? Okay, but here's what I'm aware of. Results are a low level of influence. And that's what we all use. We try to lead with authority. Oh, don't you know who I am? I sold 1 property in this neighborhood. I have 2 pendings right now. We try to lead with authority. It's a low level of influence. So it's a place to start. But what would actually cause you to invite me into your story? That might be part of the consideration, but what's the main, okay. So in order for a hero to determine if somebody's a good guide or not, the guide has to deploy 2 things, demonstrate 2 things. Do you know what the first one is? What do you think the first one is?
Knowledge.
Nope. Nope. Empathy. I know what it feels like to be on a pursuit in my physical journey and to hit roadblocks. I know what it's like to try to manage work-life balance and still maintain physical fitness. I only made $13,000 my first year of selling real estate. It's empathy. It's the complete opposite of what we think it is. We think it's this. Look, don't you know who I am? It's not that. It's empathy. Then, the second thing I have to deploy is competency. Now, do I determine that you're competent? How do I determine that somebody's competent? Because they brag about themselves?
The results.
Okay, results. It's part of the measurement. How many people have ever been in the presence of somebody who asked a series of detailed questions that you didn't even consider or think about and realized that you were in the presence of a professional? Anybody? Yes. Right? Or if you're watching me all the time in media and you can tell that what's coming out of my mouth is what? Truth. That's how you determine if you want to invite me into your story, because you're the hero of your own story. I'm just the guide. Does this make sense? So, and we can't make that message overcomplicated. So we don't do a lot of things here. How many people have got a text from me that says, let's go, let's grow? It's very clear. You know what else we're starting to add to it? Let's do more deals. Do you have to think about that? Does it require a lot of fucking calories to figure out what we do here? No, it's very simple and easy, right? But there's a method to it. There's a reason why we're doing it, okay? So people are looking for brands that can help them to survive and thrive, period. That's it. Whether it's thriving in investments and lifestyle and upgrades or surviving, because I can have more resources with a lower payment to help me to, survive. That's all they're looking for. They're not looking for brands that brag about themselves. It's not what they're looking for. Okay? Communication must be simple. So the story brand formula, this is how it works. This is what we said, right? There is a hero. And this is what must be communicated when you think about this. Okay, so let's say you're watching a movie. How many people besides me have ever watched a movie and within 20 minutes, you're like, I don't really know what's going on, and you stop watching it? Do you know why? They didn't follow this fucking formula. They take too long to describe what the problem is. You're not clear on who's the main character, right? And then immediately you're like, I'm out, see ya. Remember, story is a sense-making mechanism. So in order for the audience to be entertained and to watch, this is what needs to be clearly communicated. Who is the hero? Again, we make ourselves the hero. And that's problematic because Natalie's the hero in her own story. Kevin is the hero in his own story. I'm just a guide to help him to solve his problems. Your buyers and sellers are the heroes of their own story. Our industry is one where we can have massive egos for no reason. Imagine if other people walked around and behaved the way we did. Imagine the CEO of a fucking Fortune 500 company going like this in his car. It's immature, bro. It's ridiculous. Okay? Who the hero is and what the hero wants. What do they actually want? What do your buyers and sellers actually want? What do people who get mortgages actually want? within the context of surviving and thriving, because our brains are wired that way, right? And the hero has to defeat something or overcome something in order to get what they want, right? So Harry has to defeat who? Voldemort, right? Luke has to defeat who? Darth Vader. So what would be an example of something that a buyer or seller would have to defeat in order to get what they want? Huh? The market. What else? Foreclosure. What else? Knowledge, knowing how to fucking do something. Ignorance. What else? What would be something that a buyer or seller would have to defeat in order to get what they want? Getting beat by all the offers that they're submitting? No?
Seller getting the best offer.
Okay. How much of your content is geared towards that? Zero. It's just me. We're doing it wrong. That's right. I'm looking right at you. What wonderful thing. He's talking to me, bro. I'm like, yes, I am. So what wonderful thing will happen if they if they win, right? So imagine in that story brand format, instead of just like, here's my listing and I'm so cool, here's a seller who has this problem. Here's the 3-step or 4-step plan that we use to help them to solve their problem. And here's a picture of them getting what they want. Do you see how that's in story brand format and it makes sense in your brain? Just like all the stories that you read and all the books that you listen to or read? Okay. People don't buy the best products. They buy the products they can understand the fastest. We don't buy the best. We buy the ones we can understand the fastest. My question now, I make a lot of decisions. We have a lot of stuff going on. When somebody presents me with something, I'm like really clear. What does it do? Tell me right now. Does it save me time or money? If not, I'm not paying attention. If it takes you too long to explain it to me, I'm not paying attention. Every story you see is this in a nutshell. Again, a main character who wants something. They encounter a problem before they can get it. At the peak of despair in the movie is the main character right before they're about to give up. Who shows up? The guide. Okay. Rocky, who was his guide? His trainer. Right? The guide gives them a plan and the guide calls them to action. Because you know what's true about heroes? Heroes don't take action unless they're called on. Do you know what happens when you have no calls to action? People just watch, they don't engage with you. Which truthfully, underlying, that's what we are actually want. I want to sell them shit. Most people just want them to watch them. Make sense? And the guy gives them a plan, calls them to action. The action helps them to avoid failure and achieve success. Every story that you've ever read, every book that you've ever watched, book that you've ever watched or listened to or read or whatever, however you did it now with all these different platforms. And this should be the context that informs all of your media because it is no longer social anymore. So what do you think I mean when I say it's no longer social media?
Marketing.
Okay,
It's
but
not just for social interactions.
so when it first came out, how many people, I was in college when Facebook first came out. I'm dating myself, I'm 43, right? Okay, so at that point, media was social. It was about what are my friends doing and what are they watching? And that's what the platforms would put in front of me. Here's who I'm with, here's me eating, right? Well, TikTok came around. How did that algorithm change things? What does TikTok put in front of you? Sorry?
Education.
Nope, things that you're interested in. It's on the interest graph. The algorithm figures out what you're interested in based on what you watch. And then it only puts stuff in front of you. It can give two shits what Kevin's watching. The reason why that's much more powerful is because Kevin's interest over time change. And the algorithm changes with me, which means they can keep me on it for longer periods of time, over time. So the vast majority of us are using media on the social graph when it's not on the social graph anymore. It's on the interest graph. Does that make sense? Your clients are interested in something, but you're not putting yourself on the interest graph. You keep posting social shit. Is this clear? Okay, but all of your media should be informed by this. So who wants to give me an example? Let's use a buyer example. You work with a buyer, you're at the closing, and instead of the stupid fucking picture of you with the key, which is completely dumb, what does that communicate to anybody? Anything?
No.
Is the buyer or the seller clear on like the story? What happened? Who's the hero? No, nothing, just you with a key. Potential customers must answer these 3 questions if we want them to engage with us. What do I offer? How will it make my life better? What do I need to do to buy it? And that's part of the CTA, is the call to action. So people reach out to me all the time. They're like, yo, can I coach with you? Great. What we're going to do is we're going to hop on I'll ask a bunch of questions to find out if it's a match. And then I'll say to them, yeah, so the next step would be is we hop on a quick discovery call. If it makes sense to you, we'll send you the agreement. After that, we'll send you a Stripe link. We'll get started. Is that very clear, the steps that you go through to get it?
Yes.
Very clear. So when I would meet with a seller, so procedurally, here's how this works. I'm going to ask you a bunch of a series of detailed questions to find out clearly and specifically what you're looking to accomplish and why. I'm going to send you some information in preparation for connecting for you to review. We'll get together. We'll review it. We'll figure out strategically how we need to position the property. If it all makes sense, you'll take care of the appropriate paperwork. You need to let people know clear. Anybody besides me have ever been online and it hasn't been clear how you buy something, so you fucking leave? Yes, all the time. It's like not clear. They don't give me the clear steps. I'm even interested. It's like, there's no button, like what? Then you're like, fuck it, and I leave. I have to give people very clear ways. So, hey, here's how, okay, so to give you an example. A lot of agents right now are not sure what to do in this marketplace. And, Brian reached out to me with similar concerns. Since he partnered with us, he not only did 50 transactions in a calendar year, he capped and received $16,000 in stock, and he's attracted 31 agents to the company, which earns him anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So if you want to have a confidential conversation, DM me the word join. Who's the avatar? Who's the hero? Agents. What problem am I solving for them? Doing more deals and making more money. Make sense? Look at brokerage's feeds. They're one-dimensional pictures of properties. They're doing it wrong. That's why they're not growing. Okay? Would a caveman look at your media and immediately grunt, like I understand, like, ugh? When a customer understands how they can live a wonderful story with you, your company will grow. When they understand how they can thrive under your guidance, everything you do will grow. Everything. Okay? So here, if we break down like the steps, the customer is the hero, not you. When we position the customer as the hero and us as the guide, we will position ourselves as a trusted resource to help overcome their challenges. Think about this. Who's the second weakest person in the whole story? Who's the first weakest? The villain. Voldemort doesn't even have a body. It's the weakest person in the whole story. Who's the second weakest person in the whole story?
The hero.
The hero, which you keep positioning yourself as. Who's the actual most powerful person in the whole story? The guide, bro. Isn't that interesting? We root for the guide. We actually don't root for the hero. We root for the guide. Right? When I was watching, what's that, Guardians of the Galaxy? And his guide, the guy who does like the whistle when he died, you cry. How many people besides me when The Lion King, when Simba's dad died, you cried? I did. I'm not afraid to admit it. Hell yeah. Kevin's like, yeah, bro, 100%. Sipping a cafecito and I cried, bro. And then I took a picture like this. Real men cry. We're having a good time. So, you are Dumbledore and the customer is Harry Potter. Once you identify the customer, you must figure out what they want in relation to your brand. Okay? What do they want? They have a problem. Companies tend to sell solutions to external problems, but we don't actually buy solutions to external problems. We buy solutions to internal problems. So, okay, let's say a buyer wants to buy. So what we do is we try to sell features and amenities of buying or our lending or whatever, right? But what problem are they really trying to solve? They're afraid that they're not going to be able to, live in that particular home or in that community. They're afraid that they'll have to rent forever. That's the problem okay, let's say somebody comes, the guy who taught me this, he gave a wonderful example. He's an older guy, he's like 55, and he has like a 5-year-old, right? And he's trying to into fitness and wants like longevity because he has a young child. So he invited 2 people over his house to have a conversation. The first guy was a physical trainer, spent the whole time talking about his degrees. You know, I went to this university, I have a master's degree in exercise, sports physiology, you know what I mean? I really understand protein synthesis really well, right? Great, guy leaves. Second guy comes, he says, what do you do? He's like, well, I help guys just like you that are entrepreneurs and business owners that have young children with their fitness so they can hug their grandbabies. You know what he said? He's like, I gave that guy all my fucking money. Customers are attracted to us for the same reasons heroes are pulled into the story. They want to solve problems that have big or small way disrupted their lives. By taking our problems, by talking about our problems, our customers face, we deepen their interest in everything that we offer. So how much of your media, instead of positioning you, is talking about problems that your clients or buyers and sellers face? I know the answer to that. None. That's interesting, isn't it? It lets us know what our reference point is. You know what our reference point is? Me. 3 levels of problems that we're trying to solve. Internal or external, internal, and philosophical. Customers are much more motivated to solving internal problems. That's like we were talking about, right? Philosophical, like you mentioned, Nikki, is like good and evil. That's like a philosophical problem. Internal problem is like, I'm embarrassed that my lawn looks the way it does, so I need to hire somebody to clean it because my neighbor said some shit to me. Right? Internal problem is my parents think I'm not successful because I don't own a home. That's an internal problem. Right? And they're much more motivated to solve internal problems. Okay? Meets a guide. Customers are not looking for another hero, they're looking for a guide. If heroes in the story could solve their own problems, they would. But they can't. Okay? That's why they need a guide. Nearly every human, listen to this sentence, okay? Every human is looking for a guide to help them to win the day. Every single one in the areas we talked about. Finance, health, relationships, right? We're all looking for somebody to help us to save the day. If you position yourself as the hero in the customer subconscious like we talked about, oh, here's another hero. I wish I could actually stop and listen to what David has to say, but I'm too busy trying to find a guide to help me to solve my problems. Right? You actually made the change because you were trying to solve an internal problem, not an external one. The internal one is you know that in order to go to the next level, you have to make bets on yourself. And you have to take calculated risk. And you needed somebody to kick you in the ass and move you in that direction. Because does the hero take action without the guide pushing them? No. They would keep posting shit about themselves. That's what they would do. They need a guide to push them in the proper direction. What I told him on a call is like, bro, I'm your future self, just pushing you in a direction of where you want to go, of who you actually want to become. Because whatever platform you're at, the guy who does $1 million a year in GCI makes bets on himself or herself and does it independent of what other people think. You know how many people thought I was crazy selling back part of an office? Nuts. They're like, oh, it's a good deal. Like, why are you doing that? What's this other thing? I don't understand it. Okay. The office I left had 130 agents. We have 348 now. I'm 3 times bigger than that office in 25 months. Drake has a verse in a song. He says, boys tell stories about men. It's true. Oh my God, you know how much he did? You know what he did? Those are, and the same could be true. Girls tell stories about women, right? How am I positioning myself? Now, who gives them a plan? The plan has to be clear. So you'll notice as I'm saying this plan, is it super complicated? 1, 2, 3. Here's the 3-step plan that we use to help an international buyer buy new construction. Okay, so one of the things that we did, that we implemented with Esteban in our one-on-one coaching is I was like, hey bro, you should do webinars. He's like, what do you mean? You should do a webinar. Because that's in alignment with the world that we live in, is it not? Yeah. How many agents are doing webinars, by the way? Fucking 0. So I said to him, hey, do this. He does a lot of new construction. He has international buyers that want to buy new construction but don't know how. Send a group text out to your whole database and say, hey, I'm doing a webinar on how to buy a new construction home in 2024. I'd love for you to be there. Here's the Eventbrite link. How many people do you have registered for that?
The first one?
How many people showed up? 40. He put himself with a lender, so he's automatically positioned as the what? The guide to help them to solve their problems. Somebody bought a new construction home from that, correct? What was the price?
It was a little bit over 700.
Yeah, what was the commission?
4%.
Yeah. So $28,000 from a webinar. Oh, but anyway, he didn't pick up the phone and call them. Okay. He positioned himself as a guide. It led directly to income. Make sense? How many people in your office are doing that? 0. Yeah, very little. Customers trust a guide with a plan. Again, if I'm posting about myself all the time, look, Kevin's like, hey, he's in his office. Kevin's like, bro, that shit really worked? Yes, it did. But if somebody's telling you just get on the phone, get on the phone, get on the phone, get on the phone, guess what? I'm going to become myopic and I won't see another opportunity. Because if my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes will be blind to the opportunity. There will be shit right in front of me and I won't see it. Okay? So we trust a guide with a plan. So me posting about myself, do consumers see that I have a plan for anything? No. Maybe I have a plan for working out. I have a plan for vacationing. But I don't have a plan to help them to solve their problems. I have a plan for eating because I show you my food all the time. But I don't have a plan to help them to solve their problems. Okay? The clear path we lay out takes away any confusion about the customer doing business with us. People are looking for a philosophy they can embody and steps that they can take to solve their problems. And we call them to action. Customers don't take action unless we challenge them to take action. Okay, I know that some of us have an issue with asking people to do things. Do you know what we ask people who ask people to do things? You know what they're called? Rich. That's what they're called. And what it says here, when we don't call them to action, they just watch. That's all they do. They're watching you in the car, they're watching you working out, but they're not engaging with you. You have to call them to action. So what would be examples of calls to action? Let's practice.
DM me the word.
Okay, if you wanna
Buy new construction or whatever.
DM me the word buy. What would be another example?
If for the foreclosure one, if you're in a similar situation, DM me the word sell.
Good. Another example. Brian, we've been working on this.
If you want more information, make sure to follow me at.
There you go. These are all calls to action. If you're doing any media with no calls to action, you're doing it wrong. Because people are just watching you. They're not engaging with you at all. Okay? You have to tell people what you want them to do. Clearly. Be sure to follow me. Sign up for this event. DM me the word join. DM me the word buy. DM me the word sell. DM me the word sell so you can get this free PDF on how to, the new construction thing. And it's a lead magnet where now you capture all their emails. Right? Yeah, once you begin to have clear calls to action, customers understand exactly what you want them to do, and they decide whether you will play a role in their story. So how many people watch my YouTube videos? Okay, good. Majority of the room. And in there, particularly in the description, is there a call to action in some way? What are the examples of calls to action? Buy this course or book a call with me. Do you know what?
You have your Calendly, right?
Yeah, well, there's a link in the description of the YouTube video to book a call. And what's beginning to happen now is 5 to 6 to 10 times a month, people are booking calls with me that I've never spoke to in my life. One guy yesterday was in Arizona, another guy in Puerto Rico, bro. Wants to talk to me about courses and partnering. This is how this all works together. Make sense? Okay. Helps them to avoid failure. Every human being is trying to avoid a tragic end. The question is, what is at stake? If nothing is gained or lost, nobody cares. So if we go back to that foreclosure thing, so let's say here's a client that we helped, right? Here's the plan that we used. If you want to have a confidential conversation so you can avoid losing your home and getting nothing, DM me the word sell. I'm letting you know clearly what's at stake. Never assume people understand your brand can change their lives. You have to tell them. We must tell our customers how great their life can look like if they buy our products and services. If you don't tell them, now people confuse this with, I have to show them all about me and me traveling and my cool shit. And no, that's not what this is. You have to show them how their life will improve, not you. You see how it's easy to get that mixed up? Very easy. Because I've had people say to me, well, don't you think people have to see that? No, they don't. When you're choosing a doctor, you're not looking at your doctor's pictures like this. You're like, yeah, that's the guy I want to talk to. Right? No. So the most important part of messaging strategy is to offer clear vision on how great the customer's life will be engaged with. If they engage with your products and services, we must show people the cost of not doing business with us. So how many people feel like you're equipped now that you can actually do media better? Good. That was the intention. That's what I wanted to accomplish today. So What we're going to do now is we're going to have a very quick conversation about a vehicle that completely changed my life.